So I've just attended an extraordinary press conference here in London where we were supposed to be seeing whether or not Indian EVMs could be hacked. There was supposed to be a US-based expert coming to prove this, which has not, however, been done because the expert was not able to make it done. He claims he was attacked, and we have not seen any of these actual EVMs be hacked before our eyes. However, the expert did go live on Skype and gave us some reasoning as to how this could be done and made a number of very, very serious claims. So how credible are these claims? Do we have anything where we can try to corroborate what he said? Here's a few quick things which we're trying to look at. First off, he claims that he and his team worked for the Election Commission of India from the ECIL, the corporation which makes the EVMs from 2009 to 2014. Now, he says that his team discovered this potential flaw in the EVMs. They realized this was exploited in the 2014 election and tried to meet a BJP leader to try and extort money out of him because they thought they'd be able to make it. Now, he says all his team members were killed, and then to cover up the killing, the BJP were able to create a potential riot situation in, I believe it was Kishangarh, somewhere in Hyderabad, near Hyderabad, where a number of people were killed and the bodies of his team members were included there as the casualties. Now, we cannot verify this. There don't appear to be any actual, there's no reports of any communal violence in Hyderabad at the time, but it's obviously a point to perhaps look forward to try and see if we can corroborate this in any way if some sort of violence happened. Now, he says the violence happened around somewhere between the 12th to 14th of May 2014. And these bodies are put there, so that's something to take a look at. Now, he has also claimed that Gopinath Munde, the BJP leader, knew about what was happening, had discovered what was going on, was considering going public when he was also murdered. So we need to now go back and perhaps look at the death of Gopinath Munde, who did die in an accident, and see whether or not there's anything which seems to indicate that it was suspicious. Now, he also claims that Munde's death was investigated by an NIA officer named Tanzil Ahmad, and this man was also murdered when he was looking into it, when he realized that there was an FIR to be filed. That's again another point to perhaps investigate. The most important thing to check up here is because again there is no reports or proof that Tanzil Ahmad was murdered or that Gopinath Munde were murdered. So these are potential flaws in his story. He also claims that he has received asylum in the USA, and his journey there is again something to be questioned, because if he was in fact shot, was injured, and then got out of the country at that time, it is difficult to see how that was possible, even if, as he says, he was able to bribe his way out of the country, because how would he have been allowed into the US with evidence of an injury like that? Are there any records for this? It's a potential flaw in his story, but also one which perhaps can be verified. He says he's received asylum. That's another thing. These kind of things are not granted in the US without any basis. There will be some record or some way to verify whether this is the case, and that's something which we'll have to do as well. There were two other flaws in his story which were things which we have to again also look into. He says that the way this tampering happens is by using a modulator which is able to tap into the very low frequency which is emitted by the EVMs, and therefore tamper with them. He says these modulators are military grade and were sold to a Reliance company from 2012 to 2013, somewhere around then. Now, he initially mentioned Reliance Communications, then he said it was Reliance Jio. I asked him a question as to how it could have been Jio, given that the Reliance Jio company was only incorporated much later. He says that even if it didn't have the name Jio, it was a Mukesh Ambani company, and he stood by that on clarification. Again, another point where it is difficult to corroborate what he said, because there doesn't appear to have been a Jio company, but we will have to see whether there was any Mukesh Ambani company which purchased such modulators in the time frame he says. Lastly, the last problematic thing which he raised was he was asked a question by one of the European journalists whether or not Brexit was also similarly hacked and affected, and he said yes, this was, and which was a bit problematic because unlike Indian elections in Britain, everything happens by paper ballot, so there was no possibility of hacking the signal for the for this to happen out there. And when pressed on it, he was unable to give any answer on this either. So to sum up, we need to do a lot of investigating of our own further, see if there's any information with the US authorities, see if any incident happened in Hyderabad when he says it did, and only then can we possibly give any credence to the story. Given, of course, the Election Commission has also come out and strongly denied it, so a lot more is going to be needed before we can accept this story and take it forward.